This is going to be like the bonus room sessions.
Yeah, so this is going to be, we
have another location that we recorded 8 in.
Okay.
Recording 3.
We're branding this one really cool. So this one's going to be it's going to be like bonus room sessions. So it's going to be like a bonus episode or like a...
Or speakeasy
surprise.
sessions or something.
Speakeasy.
Ooh, speakeasy sessions.
Isn't that
That's
fun?
fun. That's super
Something
fun.
like that. Because it's a totally different, cozy vibe. So get into it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned,
You ready?
I'm rolling.
We're ready as we can be.
All right.
All right.
Babe, can we put up actually?
You want a timer?
Yeah,
for
let
it to
me.
not go off.
Here, let me turn it off, and let me turn it on airplane mode too. Yeah, you know my passcode.
Okay. I lied about being ready. My little trash bag just fell down.
Oh no. Okay, yeah, get it.
Jeez.
All right.
How do I make my phone not go on
Go to sleep.
display?
Yeah. You want it that way?
Yeah, you just put it up there. So, no, yeah, let's do it right here.
So sorry, y'all.
Nah, you're good.
Scotty, so when you see me look up there, I'm just looking at the time, and it's not because you're boring me or
Okay.
that like you need to move on to a thought.
Yeah.
If I do that, it's just for me to see to
Okay.
make sure that I'm pacing us. So
Sounds
you're good.
Sounds good.
You can go now.
You can go as long as you want,
Okay.
and when you talk, don't feel like you have,
We're
like
gonna
I said,
edit stuff.
polish
Okay.
things. You don't have to polish things.
Cool.
You can be a storyteller if something comes to your mind that you're inspired by.
Sounds good.
Let me know it.
I will. I will.
All right, don't promise anything, but we're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Give me a clap.
Scotty, how do we know each other? I was trying to remember. I was telling Matt, I was like, I can't actually remember when we met.
I want to say I think we met through Plywood. I feel
probably
like it
what
was
it was.
through Jeff Shinnebarger, probably a Plywood, either the auction or one of their events.
Oh,
I think
that is, no, you're right. Because I know your wife, and I think that's who I met first, maybe?
probably, yeah, because I was on the road a lot, but so she was at a lot of things by herself, flying solo. Yeah, yeah.
What, tell me what's keeping, tell me what's keeping you up these days. Like, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I worked for 12 years in professional sports, athletic trainer, strength and conditioning coach. And then in February of 24, I left and started my own business called High Performance Humans.
That's awesome.
So I do performance training, injury rehab, health coaching, concierge services in that space. But in addition to that, I have 3 kids. Olive is 12, Atticus is 10, Phoenix is 8.
And how long have you been married?
It'll be 15 years tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wild. I
It's
can't
like-
believe that.
Yeah, you're going on almost 2 decades.
Yeah, it's crazy. So 15 years being married.
Hmm.
And in addition to now that I don't work in pro sports, I spend a lot more time with my kids. So I coach my son's flag football team this year. I help out with their basketball team. So it's been very
That's so
fun to
cool.
be involved. Yeah.
So tell me, like, how did you ever think that you would be in a personal trainer or in high performance?
I think I did because
Really?
I had always wanted to play sports.
Okay.
And then at some point you have to get to the place like, hey, this probably isn't in the cards for me that I'm, the 1% of the 1% who's going to be able to
cool.
do this professionally.
Yeah.
But I loved sports so much and high performance. How can I find a way to carve out a path and a career in the sports world and sports industry?
So you did sports previously.
Oh,
You
yeah.
were- yeah, so
before
tell me,
this,
like, yeah, I don't-
so I worked for, I went to grad school out in California. So I
Okay.
worked a lot of community college, Division I sports out there. Got a master's in athletic training. And my bachelor's was in kinesiology with an emphasis in strength and conditioning.
Oh, cool.
So that was my academic background. And then I was fortunate enough to get a position with the Portland Trailblazers NBA team. So I worked for them for a year. I worked for the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
Football team. And when I was with the Seahawks, we actually won the Super Bowl. So I have crazy stories, ton of stories from that. I have a
What?
Super Bowl ring.
Stop.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, so got the Super Bowl ring. I worked privately for an NBA player after that. And then I got the job with the Atlanta Hawks, which is what brought me here to Atlanta
Okay.
in the fall of 2014.
2014.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Midwest and I lived on the West Coast. But I never anticipated that I would live in Atlanta. But here I am,
That's
11 years later.
Do you miss the West Coast?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
What do you miss about it?
I like the weather. I like the culture is laid back, like the vibes, the ability to get to the beach.
That's true.
Yeah,
a lot
all,
different than
all
Atlanta.
that was. yeah.
That's like, did you just have like culture shock a little bit
Oh,
in that way?
major
Yeah.
culture shock. Yeah. So the last place we had lived on the West Coast was Seattle, which is, Seattle is, a
Love
very
Seattle.
progressive city, all that. And then when we got to Atlanta, we drove here, and the first place we stopped is, I had gone to Waffle
You
House.
literally went from one corner to
Yeah,
another
to the
corner.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we literally crossed the country. Don't want to do that drive again.
I bet. At the time, did you have kids?
We had our daughter.
Okay.
We had our daughter Olive.
Oh, wow.
So we were
Oh.
we were driving down here, and I saw Waffle House on the exit. We were maybe 60 miles north of Atlanta. And I told Natalia, I was like, babe, we got to stop Waffle House. This is like a staple of the South. I had maybe been there once or twice in my life before. And we pull off and we walk in, and literally every person, I'm dressed like similar to this.
Yeah.
And every person stops and looks at us. And I was like, this is weird. And in the parking lot, there was trucks with flying like Confederate flags.
Oh, God.
And I was like, where are we? Did we just time travel back 100 years?
You're like, did we make a mistake?
No, my wife was like, I can't do this. She's like, we need to move back.
Because what's her nationality?
So she was born in Colombia,
Okay.
adopted, raised in Minnesota.
Okay.
And then we lived on the West Coast, but that is like very much
Gosh, that is such
our vibe.
That
So
is-
yeah, it was a massive culture shock moving to the South. But I always tell people now, I was like, no, there's two states. Atlanta's a state and Georgia's a state.
That's actually a really good point.
I live in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. That's so true. I've never heard that. I like that.
Yeah.
So you moved here, for, how did you get that job with Atlanta Hawks? Like,
Yeah, so
how did that transpire?
This is a crazy situation. So I was
Yeah.
working for an NBA player.
Okay.
My contract with him was ending, and so I needed to get another job. And I had an interview with the Chicago Bulls, and I was super excited about that because we were both from the Midwest. And I was
That's
like, all right,
cool.
this is a chance to move home, try to get this job. So I interviewed there, and I just like crushed the interview, and I thought I had it. And then they called me a week later and said I didn't get it. And I was super bummed, really discouraged. And then like 3 days later, I get a call from this guy from the Hawks. And he goes, hey, he's like, you just interviewed with one of my best friends with the Chicago Bulls. And he said that he didn't have the final say, but he wanted to hire you. And I need someone. And he immediately recommended you. He's like, do you have any interest working here? And he is almost,
so
yeah, he
cool.
almost hired me over the phone. I still had to come in and do like the paperwork and kind of go
Sure.
through the formalities of HR and the interview process. But he's basically like, the job is yours
Wow.
if you want it. And so, yeah, I
What did
ended up
you-
coming here and been here ever since.
That's wild. So you thought you were going to so what were you going to be doing with the Chicago Bulls?
Oh, I was going to be the assistant athletic trainer there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was kind of what-
treatment, injury
After
rehab.
winning the Super Bowl, you
Yep.
said.
After winning the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, I was working directly for an NBA player between Miami, New York City, and Sarasota. He was
Okay.
traveling a lot. And then I was basically going to be doing the same sports medicine thing with the Bulls. That didn't work out, but
Okay.
Atlanta did.
That's so cool. Now we get you.
Yeah, now I'm here.
And now how do you spend your time? Like daily now?
Yeah,
Because
daily.
you've stepped away from Atlanta Hawks.
Yep. So just running my own business,
awesome.
taking care of clients, doing a handful of performance training, injury rehab. I do health coaching, consulting with people, and then just being a dad, being a husband,
What
making
was
up for
the,
lost
like,
time.
Yeah, making up. Oh, because you were traveling so
Yeah,
much?
when I was in the NBA, I would travel between 120 and 150 days a year.
Wow.
And so you're just constantly gone on the move. And then even when I was in town, still working full practice days, working games here. So it's a brutal schedule.
How did you do that mentally?
Honestly, I think I just got in the grind, went through the motions, but it wasn't
Yeah.
until like things started to catch up with me that I realized like, oh wait, maybe this is not sustainable for me for a healthy and flourishing life.
What does it look like when you say like to catch up with you? Like
Yeah, so late nights,
Okay.
not sleeping, that catches
Yeah,
up with you,
gotcha.
working day after day. I mean, one season during the COVID season, there was very strict rules about testing and all that. So I COVID tested 211 days in a row. I worked 211 days in a row. I was gone 150 of those days traveling. And so just the travel, it's a high pressure job too.
Yeah.
You're expected to keep these players performing well, get them healthy when they get injured. And so there's the stress and the pressure of it. There's the constant travel. It just
Golly.
it just stacks up. So you can do it for, a week or two or a month or a year.
Yeah.
But then, I had been going at a pretty breakneck pace for 12 years. And
Wow.
that just stacked up over time really starts to accumulate.
How do you like, okay, you just touched on that. How do you, hold on, I have so many thoughts because I'm just thinking about, you're working with people that are under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
They get injured.
Yeah.
They're frustrated or defeated. And then you're having to help fix and repair physically, emotionally,
Yeah.
all the things.
Oh, yeah. All of the above.
And then what is your self-talk if you feel like you can't get them there? I would imagine that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, no, it
Because it's
definitely...
like, fix this person so they can go out here and kill it and make money for us.
Yeah, no,
right?
it definitely, it's
And
a lot
get a
of
win.
pressure. But then I also cared about them as humans. And so
Yeah.
there was so much more than, you sprained your ankle or you had knee surgery or anything like that. It's like, okay, we're going to take care of the physical part of it.
Yeah.
But what does this look like for you to be healthy emotionally? How do you get your confidence back?
Yeah.
There's a lot of isolation when someone's
Yeah.
injured because they're removed from
Okay.
the team and their identity of being a part of the team as a player. So just trying to be incredibly positive, be incredibly calm.
Yeah.
Not one of the biggest lessons I learned is don't catastrophize things. Even if internally you're like, oh, wow, this could be really serious.
really bad,
You
yeah.
always present them with like, hey, this is going to be okay. Like, we're going to stay calm. Like, I'm going to help guide you through this.
Do you have a story of that you don't have to share the person?
Oh,
but
no,
like
that's
maybe
such a
like
good question. I'm trying to think of.
if there was somebody that you were like, wow, this is a lot. This is a mess. Whether it's some physical injury that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy with like pretty significant knee injury that took multiple surgeries. The rehabs weren't going well, and like he was getting incredibly discouraged, and he had a potential contract coming up. And it's like, this is generational money for his family that's on the table of like
wow.
whether he can get it or not. And so just trying to, maintain a positive approach, keep him focused on the wins. When you have a setback, saying, hey, this is a temporary thing. This isn't going to be how you feel forever.
Yeah.
And just trying to keep him in a better headspace as you
Yeah.
navigate something that's really difficult.
Yeah. Like you said, catastrophizing it, because I would imagine the player is catastrophizing it.
Yeah,
And then you are like,
And that's it. I'm like, yeah,
that's
I'm like,
understandable.
well, internally, I was like, yeah, this isn't great.
Yeah.
However, I do see a way out of this. Like,
Yeah.
I do see a path because I've seen enough of these
Okay.
that we're going to make it and we're going to make it through. And it might be a little bit of a climb. Like, you're probably not going to feel better
Yeah.
tomorrow. But if we stick with the plan of the things that we know are going to work,
Yeah.
and I can help support you emotionally during this time as we navigate this,
Yeah.
like, there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And it was a cool story. He ended up signing for a massive amount of money,
Wow.
and he and his family are taken care of forever. So yeah, it ended up turning out okay. But when you're in those moments and you don't have the benefit of hindsight to look in the rearview mirror at that,
Yeah.
you're like, wow, I'm really not sure how this is going to unfold.
So when somebody experiences an injury, you said there's a lot of isolation,
Yeah.
which I feel like is so applicable to other areas in our life of like, we experience something and we want to isolate. What will you share a little bit about, like, what is that journey like for, like, mentally? Like, what have you just witnessed and what players do that maybe is, I just feel like it is also universal, but with players specifically, like, what is the journey of isolating, the temptations, wanting to quit? I don't know. Like, what is that journey like mentally?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is when so let's say you've played basketball your entire life. And if you're in the NBA, you've been the best your entire life in high school and college, and you made the team. So you're obviously very, very good now. And so much of your identity as an athlete is wrapped up in being a successful basketball player.
Yeah.
And then when that's removed, there can be a huge identity crisis. Like, okay, like physically, I have no control right now, and I can't be what everyone wants me to be, what they expect me to be, what I want to be. And it's just going to be a long road to get back. And then there's a lot of doubts creep in. Will I ever get back to that level? Like, who am I without this? And so what I've realized in situations like that with injury, people, like, they're humans, and they just need to know that someone is with them, that they're not alone. So even if they feel isolated from their teammates, their coaches, because they can't contribute how they normally do, just to have one person being able to stand by them and say, hey, like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I will guide you through this. We are going to get through this together.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Did you ever think that you'd be a part of that side of things?
No, I had no idea. Like, I just knew I wanted to work in sports, and it wasn't until I started working and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's so many other factors involved, and there's so many layers to this.
Did you ever experience any sort of, I don't know, loneliness or injury or anything for yourself?
Oh,
or was
yeah.
it just always, you just witnessed it from other
No,
players that you worked
I had a really bad back injury in 2015 and 2016, and I was working for the Hawks. I was working in the NBA.
Oh, wow.
And I had a disc that had herniated, but then it actually fragmented and lodged up on my sciatic nerve, and so I was in horrible pain for close to 9 months. And it was the kind of thing, mechanically, the disc was sitting right on the nerve, and so there was no amount of rehab that was going to help it. I had 2 epidurals. And I felt like a failure because I was like, wait, this is what I do. I rehab people. I get people out of pain. And no matter my hardest efforts, I was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then in May of 2016, I ended up having back surgery, which can always be like kind of a roll of the dice. But I was to the point where, I couldn't stand for more than 5 minutes without getting nauseous. Like I was in just 10 out of 10 pain all the time. Couldn't sleep at night. Like it was miserable. So I've definitely... I tell people now, like it ended up being a gift, and I call it the gift of injury because it really makes you evaluate a lot of things and then just be able to have a lot of compassion for people who are experiencing chronic pain or experiencing an injury or an illness. Like, there were days where I literally thought that I was going to be in this pain for the rest of my life. And I'm like, and then your mind starts to go, hey, is this life going to be worth living if I'm going to feel like this forever? Cause it's awful. So it just gave me, for the first gift it gave me is it made me start really taking care of myself because I had spent so much time taking care of other people, at least physically, and kind of half-assing my own health. I was like, oh no, this is a huge wake-up call to take care of myself. But then it also gave me a heart of compassion for people, like when they're going through things. Like I get it. Like I know exactly how you're feeling right now.
How did you shift your mind to seeing it as a gift?
When you said
a gift of injury, I'm like, it is a gift. And then also it's like, how do you when you're in it, how do you gain that sense of hope? Because I would imagine like suicidal ideation or like some of those types of thoughts. I just don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in this pain.
I didn't have any hope when I was in it. I was miserable.
Really?
It was only through reflecting on it over the years after the fact and seeing the lessons that I learned afterwards that I was like, oh, that's when I saw it as a gift. When I was in it, I was like, this is the worst thing ever.
Gosh, and then you can't even be a dad. You probably couldn't even pick up your kids.
I couldn't even tie my shoes. Like I couldn't, Nat was putting my shoes on in the morning. Like it was awful.
Golly, so you have you understand the isolation and
I get it.
On a deeper level.
Yep.
Do you think that you would have had that same level of compassion had you not gone through that?
No.
Really? Mm-mm. Wow.
No.
What have you witnessed with players that have felt like this is my forever? Like how can you get them practically out of that headspace? Can you? Or is it their choice?
Every time someone asks me that, or a player when they're going through it,
I
take it. I actually got this from the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've read that, but his definition, and I'm paraphrasing this, is his definition of trauma is the belief that how I feel today is how I will feel the rest of my life. Wow. So you take the moment you're in, you project it over however long you think your life is going to be. And then when you look at your life through that lens, it's this insurmountable mountain. You're like, yeah, I actually don't want to go on like that. And he scales that back and he goes, no, that is the definition of trauma. That's how he defines trauma. And so it's like, no, what it actually is this is how I feel today in this moment. Yeah. And I'm going to choose to believe that this is not how I'm going to feel forever, whether it's from an orthopedic injury, whether it's an emotional or mental health thing that you have going on. It's like, no, it's just choosing to believe in this moment that, yes, I do feel like this right now. And I do believe that I will not feel like this forever.
Wow. That's like a daily reminder you have to take.
Yeah, no, it's a moment by moment reminder because you have to be really careful saying that to someone who is in incredible grief or trauma or pain. Yeah. Whereas like you have to very delicately approach with that. But I think
Yeah.
what I found to be helpful in those spaces is like, no, like I've lived that too.
Yeah.
Like I get it. And
Yeah.
that's something I have to remind myself.
Wow. Okay, so that's such a great point what you just said. Like, you can't go towards somebody with like, this won't always be your forever. You're gonna be like, how do you have a conversation with somebody that has experienced a lot of trauma? Like, how do you enter into that conversation? Like, when you walk into the room and you see a player that has just experienced an implosion to their body and their mindset is just downhill. How do you start the conversation? What do you ask them?
So I mean, the first thing is most of these guys, like I would just tell them like, hey, I love you. Like, I love you and I'm sorry that you're going through this, and just try to hold space for them.
Yeah.
And then I realized too, it's honestly best to really not offer any advice. Like, I just try to ask good questions. Thoughtful questions.
That's so applicable though to everybody in
Yeah.
our life, right? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, most people don't need their problem solved. Most people need someone to care about them and be with them in these dark moments.
yep. I remember when I was walking through my divorce, I had so many people tell me all of a sudden, like out of the woodworks, everybody told me what I should do. And I was just like, I have already told myself what I should do for a long time, that it was almost it was not helpful to hear, you should do this, or you should do this, or have you tried this? Or like, I was just like, don't should me. Like, I can't, like, I'm not there mentally to like receive I should do these things. My brain has not come back online.
Yeah.
Like, I am operating out of a place of fight or flight right now.
Right.
I'm not going to hear your rational thinking.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think in those situations, I think people are trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't feel helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and again, I'm sure I've been guilty of that.
I definitely
And so
have.
I try to do a better job now about just holding space for people, listening, and trying to ask good questions that in a way is going to help them find the answer. And if they're in a really kind of destructive place, that's when I will kind of step out on a limb and try to call them up or remind them of something better, to hold on to hope for something.
That's so cool, Scottie. That's really cool. Who knew that, like, that what you do goes even deeper into the soul of a person, you know? Because you just think it's mechanical. You think it's just physical fitness, but it's all emotional too. That was one thing that I really appreciated that I saw you post. I think it was in January, and that's when I don't even know if I was for sure going to be pursuing a podcast when I saw it. And you were talking about like living a life of honesty and like having emotional fitness and physical fitness and how they tie together. And I was just like, I love that. Would you share, like, because you wrote something about honesty.
Yeah.
Do you remember that post you wrote?
Yeah.
It was like from your heart.
No,
and,
I definitely remember. And it's funny when I, put something like that on social media, because you kind of like brace yourself.
Yeah, I know, it's
Not
true.
exactly sure, how it's going to be received. And
I like screenshot it.
oh, really?
Yeah, I like saved it. I was
Nice.
like, if I do a podcast, I want to interview
Oh,
Scottie.
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, but the reason it's for me, it's worth the risk is because if there are people out there that it speaks to them or resonates or it is helpful, it
Yeah.
is also worth any like backlash or judgment you'll receive. You're like, all right, that's the price to pay, but I'm willing to pay it.
Yeah.
But so going back to health, like there's people in my field and practitioners who will just approach things from a very like mechanical, physical perspective. And like that's not necessarily wrong, but that's also
Yeah.
not the way I'm wired. So there's like, depends what research you read, but there's 8 different dimensions of health.
Okay.
But the 4 that I really try to focus on are physical, emotional, social, and spiritual.
Okay.
And so those are kind of in my domain when I work with a client or a person, and it's just how my mind works too. Like I care so much about people and humans flourishing, and I feel like I do have something to say and expertise in like those 4 domains. There's some other ones too that are like financial, and I was like, no, talk to a financial advisor. I can't help you on this
We're
one.
actually interviewing one next after you, so that's funny.
Oh, nice.
You should
Yeah.
stay around.
Yeah. So listen to that one for that advice. But that's kind of the framework that I approach, is because humans are so complex.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, if I'm working with you, I want to try to do things that touch on all of these different domains of your health.
Yeah.
To be more fully integrated in your health and not just take care of one thing.
Yeah. So would you say when you wrote that, you wrote something on being honest with yourself? What did you say? It was like, here, do you have that piece of paper, babe? You said something. My brain just went. I wrote it down. You were talking about not lying to yourself.
Yeah. Yes. So sorry. Back to that.
I loved that
post.
because we lie to ourselves, and I think sometimes package it that we think we're telling ourselves the truth.
Oh yeah, all
Right?
the time.
But we're lying to ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, so continue.
So I actually got that quote. So there's this book I read. It's called The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I read it like maybe 4 years ago, and it's super dense Russian literature.
Wow.
And it's also I joke with people. I was like, it's actually my second Bible.
That's
I've
awesome.
learned more from that book than maybe anything else in my life. And
What's it called again? Say it again.
The Brothers Karamazov.
Okay.
And there's a chapter in there, or a couple chapters, where there's a priest in training and his mentor, who is a priest, he's on his deathbed. And it's maybe 4 or 5 pages. He's like, hey, everything that I've learned from this life, I'm going to give you all my wisdom and all my advice. And so the reader, the character, you're like, okay, I'm perking up. Like, I'm listening now. If this is a life well lived, and you're at the end of it, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? And one of the things he starts with, he goes, above all, never lie to yourself. And I remember I read it at the time, I was like, dang. And then it was just one of those things that the longer I've sat with it and thought about it, it's actually bothered me more and more and more in a really good way.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, wow, that is incredibly profound. And I think we spend a lot of time lying to ourselves. Whether it's to feel safe or protected or feel, hey, maybe if I tell the truth, I won't be loved. So there's a lot of stuff underneath that. But I've really kind of taken that mantra and be like, that is the life that I aim to live, is like, I really want to live an honest life, in my relationships with other people and my relationship with myself, and telling myself the truth.
Gosh, that's
and not running
so
from that.
Good. Not running from it. That's so good. I started noticing, and this was probably 7 or 8 years ago, how much little white lies I told people or myself. And I didn't realize I was doing that until it's almost like I got tired of myself and who I became.
Yeah.
That I had to look around and go, okay, what am I telling? And I still struggle with lying to myself all the time. It's like, whether it's lying to myself that this is going to be okay for me, or this is healthy choice, or I think I told you on the phone, I was like, I need to work out. Like, I need to just physically take care of myself physically. And I lie to myself that, I'll be okay. It's okay. Like I always say, a bunch of it's okays turn out to be one big not okay.
Wow. That's so good.
Isn't it true?
Yeah, no, it's very true.
It's okay. It's okay. But really, those it's okays are kind of lying. They're lying to yourself.
Right.
But I learned that, man, I don't think that anybody wants to think of themselves as a liar, but
no, that might actually be the first step, is being able to admit to yourself, man, I am a liar to myself.
I deceive myself.
I deceive myself, yeah.
And if I'm deceiving myself, I'm also probably deceiving other people.
Yeah.
Just naturally, right? Out of the outpour of whatever I'm pouring in.
Right. And I think a lot of it happens subconsciously. We don't realize you're doing it until you really take inventory. It's like, oh wait, that was it. And so I think that's why it stuck with me so hard. At first I might have skimmed over it, but the more I've sat with that, I was like, oh wow, that is true. And that's why this priest, the character in the book, would say this to his mentee, is like, no, this is the most important thing. Above all, don't lie to yourself. It's like, wow.
What is a hard truth that's been really hard for you, probably since that you've been trying to process?
I think the most recent one is you can be emotionally healthy and very spiritually unwell. And that stings.
Oh, okay. Wow. I want to share that.
Yeah, because
That's so true. Wait, say that again.
You can be incredibly emotionally healthy and very spiritually unwell. And when you think about the domains of health and wellness, it's like, no, I think that if this was foundational, you have physical health and social and however you want to rank them. I think whatever rankings you choose, 1 through 7, I think number 8 is spiritual health. And I think I've been guilty of spending so much time on emotional health because I grew up in an emotional desert. It just wasn't, emotions weren't talked about. They weren't expressed. Everything was buried. And then through my own journey of bottoming out with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've gone to therapy since 2017, and I love therapy. Like, therapy is great. Like, therapy saved my life. It changed my life.
Yeah.
But the most recent realization I've had is I can have a really high level of emotional fitness. Like, I can be in touch with my feelings. I can know how to express them.
Yeah.
I can understand and be attuned with people in the room and do all that. And I can still be disconnected from God. And so I don't want that. I don't want to live that life. I want to live an integrated life where it's like, no, like I have this foundation of spiritual health, and I'm also emotionally healthy.
Wow. How do you, man, we'll talk about lying to yourself, right? It's like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You can lie to yourself that if you're emotionally healthy, then you must be spiritually healthy.
Yeah.
Those two don't necessarily go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram. There's an overlap there, but you can definitely, there's the parts that don't touch.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can have.
What do you see about yourself when you're not spiritually healthy that looks different?
I don't think I'm
Do you think you can mask it with your emotional health?
Of 1000%. Yeah, you can definitely mask, because then I can look at you and be like, wow, like Eryn just has it all together. Or like, she's honest. Like she said, I'm fearful about this. I'm stressed about this. Like she reads people well. She's compassionate to them. And all those things are good things.
Yeah.
However, you can have all those things and still be disconnected from God or from the source of life. And I think that's where like a real danger creeps in. And it's super easy to lie to yourself then because you're like, actually, I'm okay. Like things are good. Like I've solved this emotional health puzzle. I know how to navigate it. But there's another layer underneath that. And it's like, am I willing to go down there and have some hard conversations with myself?
What do those hard conversations look like, you think, for somebody that wants to go down there? Like you said, maybe go down to the basement.
Yeah,
of the struggle
I
of
think so. I think it's, I think at the end of the day, spiritual health is like, what does my connection look like with God? Like, what am I believing about God? What do I believe he believes about me?
That's a big one.
And
I think I struggle with that.
I struggle with that too. And I think so I'm one of my big things that like I process everything through is the meaning of life. Like I'm a big existential question person. And so that's a question that's haunted me for a long time. And so I've gotten to the place where I'm like, the meaning of life is to receive the love of God, receive love from other people, and then pour out that love.
Yeah.
And I understand that's like 50,000 feet view, and like you could talk about that for forever.
Yeah.
However, I think in a spiritual health sense is just really believing that God loves you and sitting with that and receiving that love. And for me, that's what's helped me logically make sense of being able to tell myself the truth. It's like, oh, if I tell myself the truth and I tell something about myself that I don't like and I know it's gonna sting and I know it's gonna bother me, I know that underneath that I am still loved.
Gosh, yes. How did you come to that?
These questions, these questions take up so much real estate in my brain that I have chewed on and processed them, talked with friends about them, read books, like. Yeah, it's been a hard journey to get to this place. Where I've landed today, and who knows, if you talk to me a year from now, it might change a little bit, but yeah.
No, but that's not an easy place to get to.
Yeah.
It's such a hard place to accept, like, I can say that, and that's accountability, I think, too, right? And ownership of choices. For me, it's like I had to, still to this day, I just think about a lot of the really bad decisions that I had made. I had to own them. And when I owned them, I could still look and go, does God still love me if I'm owning them?
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
And then it made owning them even easier. Didn't make the consequence easy to my choices, but it made owning it going, okay, I'm not going to hide it like it's not there.
Yeah.
Because if I hide it, if it's not there, then I don't have to deal with any of that. But I guess that's part of lying to yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've learned this through a ton of personal experience. Is the more you hide something or bury it or push it under the rug, the more it grows and the more atomic it becomes. Like when it finally decides to, that ticking time bomb goes off, the fallout is way worse.
Gosh.
The longer you hide it, longer I hide it.
What do you think that for yourself personally, or have you witnessed that in other people in your life too?
Oh, I witnessed it in myself. I've witnessed other people. I think it's just a truism of reality.
Yeah.
Is the longer you put something in the dark and hide it,
yeah,
the more it grows and the more catastrophic fallout there's going to be when
That's so
it comes out.
It's going to literally implode everything.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say, like, with the spiritual and the emotional? I just really loved that you touched on that, because I also know a lot of really what appears to be highly spiritual individuals that may not be emotionally healthy. The balance,
Yes.
like I've also witnessed that too.
Yeah, so it's so interesting you bring that up, and that's one of the things I'm currently really wrestling with. Is I think that you can be here's my hypothesis today.
Yeah.
And I don't have any proof for it, but this is just the
You're allowed to change your mind.
This is the direction
Yeah.
I'm leaning. Is that you can be incredibly emotionally healthy and spiritually unwell. I don't think you can be spiritually healthy and emotionally unhealthy.
Okay.
I think because it is the foundation that if you're truly spiritually healthy, that it bleeds up, if you will, if it's this pyramid, and it'll affect your emotional health. Now, obviously, there's a caveat. Some people just like haven't had the tools or resources, and so they have this spiritual health, and that's just a part of their health that they're missing. But I think having a truly robust spiritual health really like bleeds into your emotional life too.
Wow. I guess that is true. So even the people that appear to be spiritually are not spiritually healthy. You can have the knowledge of God. You can have the knowledge of knowing who he is in your life, but not necessarily be spiritually healthy.
Yeah. And then, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I should say this, but the way I feel is I think, and this has really been a revelation the last like 3 or 4 weeks for me, but I think, because I've thought a lot about this, I think people who are spiritually healthy, they live in a way that is very compelling to other people. And I get it. Like, that's subjective. You can't set KPIs for that. You can't measure it.
Right,
but when I see a person who I am compelled, like, oh, I want to be like that. Like, oh, your story compels me to change and shift and to grow and move in that direction. When I meet people who are spiritual, who are incredibly condescending, self-righteous, judgmental on either side of the political fence or denomination or whatever, but that is the story that you're living and the way you operate in the world. It's so, not only is it not compelling, it makes spiritual health somewhere between implausible and abhorrent to me.
Gosh, that's so
And so that's what I look for now. And but then it's also for me to look in the mirror. It's like, dang, is the way I'm living my life, is that compelling in a spiritual way to people?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, because you are a believer and you're in an environment that is predominantly secular. Would you say secular? I don't even know if that's...
it's definitely
secular.
It's definitely a modern secular environment for sure.
How have you navigated like sharing your faith or not sharing your faith, or like, because it is the essence of who you are, but you don't want to let that be the forward, or maybe you do. I don't know. How do you be all Scottie in a space where you're not dimming who you are in your faith, but you're also not leading with that, like what you're saying? It's just being somebody of that's compelling to want to know, like, how do you navigate that in that space?
Yeah, well, I had to go through a massive period of losing my faith or deconstruction, whatever people want to call it, for probably from like 2014 to like 2019.
Wow, tell me, can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I was raised in a very conservative Christian Baptist home in Wisconsin. And, I thought I was basically like a moralist.
Yeah.
So it was like, just be good, do good, think the right things, vote the right way, like that whole vibe.
Yeah.
And then started to kind of move away from that, started to get some like illumination of like, oh, hey, maybe this is who Jesus is. Maybe this is what it's about. And then I was a part of a church on the West Coast that had this incredible scandal fallout. The whole thing collapsed in catastrophic fashion. And I was I was really rattled by that, because the new things I thought I was learning that helped me make sense of life. I started to wonder, all right, is all of this a lie?
Yeah,
it's a baby
What's
in the basket.
trustworthy?
Yeah, what can I trust? What can I trust? And because there was so much lack of integrity and abuse of power and all these things, I was like, I don't even know what to believe anymore. And then I got to Atlanta and like didn't have any friends, didn't have any community, no one to process this with. I'm in the NBA working all the time in, more secular environment where kind of the ethos is like, you can be whatever you want to be, act however you want, do whatever you want to do. and there's really no rules around it. Like there's no checks and balances. And then I was working with a lot of people in the organization at the time who were atheist or secular, and they honestly, like, they lived a more compelling life than most people of faith I knew.
Wow.
At the time, they had better answers to like these big existential questions that I had.
Yeah.
And so that started causing like all of my faith to just unravel. And then I was having my own mental health issues with stuff that I had never dealt with in my life, and high anxiety, depression,
And then back
panic
pain,
attacks,
right?
back pain. Those all happening at the same time.
Wow.
Like it was when it rains, it pours. It was just like a hurricane in my life.
Wow.
So
you went through, how did you get on the other side of that with your faith?
yeah, so honestly, a lot of it, like I believe like God
so
put people
relatable.
in my path who were incredibly gracious and kind and had walked a similar road, and they were just with me, and they were like, and they listened, and you know, they referred good podcasts and books, and
They listened.
yeah, they just
Isn't that
listened.
crazy
They
that
listened.
that's actually more of the
They
gospel
listened
than...
without judgment, and they're like, hey, like, you're gonna get through this. Like, sure, you're in the wilderness now, but like, it doesn't.
Did you know that you were
last.
in the wilderness, or did it feel like you were maybe having a new awakening?
Oh no, I knew. I knew I
really?
was. Oh yeah, I knew I was lost. I knew I was in a bad place, but I didn't know how to get out.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was gonna get out of it. I didn't know what if I at the end of this, if I was gonna be an atheist or if I was still gonna have faith in God. And so I think that's what was terrifying about it. And a lot of people too who like grow up in faith and they talk about losing their faith, they'll talk about this being on like the precipice of this like abyss of nothingness below them.
Yep.
And I totally know what that feels like. I was like, oh yeah, that's the best way to put it. It is like this thing where you're just like you're at the edge and you're like, yo, this just might
This
be
looks
it.
really
Like,
dark, and that's probably all that's life. Yeah.
yeah. So no, I definitely understand that. But again, it's like my back injury. Like it's one of the best things that happened to me.
Wow.
So it's one of the most horrible things and one of the best things that ever happened to me.
The most painful
Because what
thing.
it did is then it helped me navigate like, what I grew up with and the faith I thought I had, like that all had to be torn down. And so when you talk about, you know, the gospel or the Christian faith, it's really like, what is your reference point and what does that mean? And a lot of people have a very like elementary understanding, at least that I would argue. And for me, it really has become like, hey, what is the story of reality? What is God telling in that story? And what is my place in that story?
Yeah.
And that for me has made so much more sense than like this kind of old, smaller framework that I used to have for that. And so then I just live into that story. Like, how do I love people well? How do I forgive people who have wronged me?
How did you forgive, like, even just like the people in the faith community that, you know, you watched all that and it affected your faith.
Yeah.
How did you like forgive to walk into wanting to know who God is again? That's hard.
Yeah. So honestly, the most powerful thing that I ever learned about forgiveness, it was in a book by Miroslav Volf, who is he's the director at the Center for Faith and Culture at Yale.
Okay.
And he had a crazy story. Like, he grew up in Yugoslavia, a communist country. Him and his family were believers, but they were oppressed their entire lives. Like a really, really difficult upbringing. And at one point, he was actually accused of being a spy for America because he came to university here. Oh. And so they threw him in jail. They like viciously interrogated him for 3 months. And he it was, you don't talk about trauma, like mental trauma. You like read his book of going through this stuff, and he got set free. He came back to America. He ended up getting married here, and he was wrestling with this. And he said that basically the Holy Spirit gave him this vision, is that the people who wronged you, because he was like, how do I forgive these people who like I will probably never see again? Like, I'm not going to have a conversation with them and be able to say, hey, I forgive you. I hope for your good.
Yeah.
And so like the feeling that he got, or like the Holy Spirit impressing upon his heart, he was like, you need to hope that at the end of all things, at the end of time, when there's this great celebration feast in my kingdom, that person who wronged you is sitting next to you, eating and drinking with you and celebrating with you. And I read that and I was like, no, it rocked me. Like, and he talks about it in the book. He's like, I got chills down my spine. I remember reading that, and I might as well have been hit in the face with a pillow with bars of soap in it. Like, yeah, I was like, I got rocked. But I was like, oh, but it was so helpful because it gave me a story and in
Yeah.
a holy imagination of like, this is
That's a
what
good way to say it.
forgiveness looks like.
Yeah.
And then trying to, okay, that's where I want my heart to go, is to that place of like hoping for that final like restoration with people.
Holy imagination?
Yeah.
Is that your term?
No, I didn't come up with that.
I never heard that
read
before,
that
but
or
I
heard someone
love
say
that.
it,
Like
yeah.
I've imagined things like I'll take holy naps, and one of my mentors, she was like a spiritual formation mentor. She told me, I told her I used to feel guilty of falling asleep whenever I would do my quiet time and just like be with the Lord. I just fall asleep, and she told me you should start imagining like just God's just holding you. So every time I take a holy nap, I envision myself like just falling asleep in Jesus' arms.
No, yeah, that's awesome.
But I've never
I
heard
think
of
it's
holy
powerful.
imagination.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's so beautiful. And it is true when you start living your life through the lens of like what that imagination could be, you do start forgiving, and you do start letting go of the bitterness or resentment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's cool about that story is I actually got invited to go to this think tank up at Yale in March. And I met Miroslav and I told him that very thing.
That is so cool.
Which was really cool. Because then he told me too, he's like, wow, he's like, that means a lot to me because this entire book that I wrote, that story, like that was the heart of everything that I'm trying to get at when it comes to forgiveness.
We need to put in the show notes every book that you suggest.
Oh yeah. Well, there's plenty more where that came
Send them to us.
from.
I'll listen. I'm gonna quit listening to podcasts. I'm gonna start listening to books on audio. Don't listen to this.
Oh my gosh. But to circle back to your question of like, how do you navigate spaces is like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks
So
for bringing that back.
So then it gave me, having lived through pain and loss of faith and mental health issues, is like, oh, it reshaped me in an entire new way where it's like, no, I can be with people and I have a way better understanding of like what it means to live in like the kingdom of God in a way that is filled with grace and compassion and kindness and mercy and forgiveness, that allows you to like hold space for people. And so I just try to show up fully as myself as a member of like the kingdom of God. And then just interact with people like that. Like I don't have pressure. Like I have to, which I used to feel a ton of pressure.
Really?
I don't feel any pressure of like having to act or do anything a certain way. It's like, no, like I have received this love and now I can exhale and just be in these spaces. And I'm constantly being like shaped and formed in new ways by God.
Right. Gosh, that's so good, Scottie. I didn't even think that we would be touching on that, but I think I went through like a dismantling of my faith probably around the same time you did. It was like 2017 to 2019. When did you say yours was?
Probably like 14 to 19.
14 to 19.
Yeah.
Where I just started feeding, and you put words to things I've never been able to have closure on, but it's true. It's like I fed myself things, honestly, kind of out of rebellion against these other things because those other things hurt me, or like the church hurt me, or Christian people hurt me. And so it was like, well, I don't want to have any part of that, because it was compelling, because other people that I knew that didn't believe in God, they were kinder. They had more grace.
Yep.
They are more compassionate. And it was like, well, that's more, it was ironic. It's like, that feels like the Lord, but these people are acting this way. So I don't know. It was like a conflicting feeling of there has to be something bigger. But I mean, I was listening to podcasts that defied God. I mean, I was like starting to believe in the Big Bang Theory. I'm just like, let's just like, I was really lost in that time until I encountered the Holy Spirit. And that was something that I just could not, like, I could not make what's the word? I just couldn't make reason of it. But I also knew that it wasn't of me.
Yeah.
It was like one of those experiences that I had that definitely shaped, it kind of brought me back on the track of, okay, maybe God does exist. Did you have a moment like that, or was it really just people pouring into you, or was it?
Oh no, I had a crazy moment. This is like,
Do you feel comfortable sharing it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
It was wild. So it's probably like 2017, and like you know, I'm still working, I'm still
Yeah.
functioning, and you go through life. And when I look through the rearview mirror, it's not like people listen like, oh, how are you functioning? It's like, no, like I was still doing everything I needed to do, but
probably compartmentalized it.
Yeah, well, I'm not good at compartmentalizing, so I think I internalized it all. I knew it was going on, but I was like, I still have work to do. I still have kids to take care of. Like, I'll just keep, you know, kind of trudging along. But I was just feeling this profound lostness, and the abyss was kind of calling me in, where I was like, yo, this is probably it. Like, I just need something. I just need a glimmer of hope. And I was drinking a lot too. I drank a lot when I was in the NBA. It's just, it's part of the culture. Like, there's so much social drinking. And then like, you're so elevated and you get so high and like hyper focused for a game, and you need a way to come down. And so, but then I didn't realize too at the time that I was, you know, like self-medicating. Like I was bearing a lot of symptoms of things that I just wasn't dealing with, just to like get through the day and get to the next day and everything. So I'm in like just super dark season. And I don't even know if I asked for anything. But I was like, yo, I just need a glimmer of hope. And we landed from a road trip. It was 2:30 in the morning. We're at this hangar at the Atlanta airport, and we have a private parking lot. So we unload the plane. I go to my car, and I'm just feeling horrible. And I get in my car, and I'm pulling out. It's a private hangar with a barbed wire fence. And I pull up, and there's this car that pulls in front of me. Never seen the car before. And this is at 2:30 in the morning too, right? So there's not a whole lot of people out.
And when you say feeling horrible, do you mean like anxiety
or
anxiety?
My faith is gone. I don't think God exists.
Just hopelessness.
My mental health
like,
sucks.
What is
like
life?
I'm exhausted. Like everything.
Yeah.
Like nothing is going well.
Yeah.
And I pull behind this car, and we wait for the gate to come up, and I look at the license plate, and the license plate says "God is for you." And I was like,
oh my gosh, that gives me like.
I was like, what
on my
is happening?
face.
And it was interesting because like it didn't change anything like the next day, but what it did, it was just like it was like this rope. It's like, hey, just hang on. Like you got to go through some more things, but there is like this glimmer of hope in this storm. And I was like, oh my
gosh. What did you do? And did you cry? Did you just like?
No, I was shocked. I was like, what? No, I probably looked up. I was like, what is happening?
Because like, the chances of a car being there too.
Yeah, no, it was one of those moments where God was just like, no, I'm going to break through the spiritual realm, and I'm just going to drop this right here.
That makes me emotional.
And I still get goosebumps when I talk about it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I never, of course, I never saw the car again. Like I'd never seen the car before, and there it was. Yeah.
My glasses are foggy. But that's the kindness of God. He's like, I'll give you just enough. I'll give you just enough.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is I was remarkably lost for years and years and for long seasons.
Yeah.
But I was lost to myself. Like I wasn't lost to God. Like I was like, hey, like I got you. I have a love that goes past this level of lostness and self-destruction that you're on, right?
Wait, say that again. Yeah, you were lost to yourself.
I was lost to myself, and I couldn't find a way out.
Wow.
But I wasn't lost to God. Like I hadn't gone past like his sight or like where his love can reach to. He's like, no, I got you.
Wow.
Like it's going to be a journey, but like you haven't gone past that.
That's so good, Scottie. I never really thought of being lost to yourself, but that is what it is. And
that's what it was, is I knew I was lost.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that was terrifying is I had no idea the way out.
Yeah. How do you feel like that's impacted like your view of your sense of worth? Because I ask that with the thought, you do operate out of your own strength for so long, and that does run out. Like you find your worth in many different things, and that does run out. You'll just go to the next thing, to find your sense of worth. How has that, like, have you witnessed that a lot of people finding their worth in other things outside of like the true worth? And then like, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question because do you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm a verbal processor. What did you say? You said something. Oh, crap. You said, what did you say about the end of yourself? You
can be
lost. Yes.
Yeah.
So you said you lost yourself, but you weren't lost to God. How do you correlate that with a sense of worth?
I can't. It's in one of the Gospels. I can't remember. Whichever one has the story of the prodigal son in it.
Yeah.
That one. Whatever chapter that is.
What is that in? Is that in not Matthew? John?
John, maybe John 15. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is because the story or the parable or story of the prodigal son is the last in 3 stories in that chapter. The first story is about a sheep that gets lost and the shepherd leaves 99 sheep and he goes and finds the one sheep, brings him back home.
Yeah.
And then the second story is about a woman who loses a coin and she stops her entire life, searches her entire house, finds the coin and goes and tells everyone and celebrates. And then the third story is the story of the prodigal son. And so Jesus is like doubling down on like, if you are lost, I can and I will come find you. And so like that for me is like, okay, I was lost and jammed up in some bad places. However, like this is the business, like this is the business that God does.
Yeah.
If like we will open our heart to him, and open up our lives to receive him and his love and his pursuing rescue of us in these lost spaces. I'm actually writing a book right now. And
You are?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Come on.
And like there's
that's
there's
awesome.
3 main parts to the book, and I think
Okay.
this is kind of a motif for life. Is this is in all of our, I think in our stories, and this is I think what God wants for us is we have a season of running away, and then there's resurrection then, but you have to die first. So usually the running leads to the death of self in some form or fashion, some sort of pain. And then there's the return back home.
Yeah.
And I think those are kind of like the phases of life that we move through. And I've seen it be true in my own story and like a lot of people that I've talked to. So
That's
I kind
beautiful.
of talk about those 3 things through the lens of, working in the professional sports world for 12 years.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for somebody that's really struggling to show up, like feeling like they have to maybe wear 2 different hats or have 2 different faces when it comes to having a faith and also being in an environment that's not like a faith type environment, or maybe not even receiving of faith?
Yeah, what I found is like if you are honest, if you are authentic about your own humanity and your struggle and your belief that God loves you,
Yeah.
it usually goes pretty well because people tend to admire people who have something to stand for when you do it in a way where you're not being an asshole.
Right.
Like if you're not being self-righteous and you're not being dogmatic and judgmental and all
Yeah.
these things that have a really bad rap, like in religion or especially like the American Christian spaces,
Yeah.
it usually goes pretty well. And certainly there's going to be outliers who just don't rock with it. And then at that point, it's just like radical acceptance. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
like you don't have to. And
Radical
I will
acceptance. It's good.
still extend love to you.
With no condition.
Yeah, with no conditions. Like I'm not going to attach any strings to it.
Yep. That's good.
But that's a challenge, like
Yep.
of living in the kingdom of God, right? It's not an easy thing to do. It's not a comfortable thing to do.
You said something, you were talking about, I'm going back to, so we'll cut it up, but I just had this thought and I wanted to know, like you said, you were lost when we were talking about the scriptures and how God he does go after anybody that is lost. How do you define if you're lost? Like, what is like the symptoms?
Yeah, I think it ties into what you were just talking about earlier is like, where do you find your worth? And I think humans are a collision of contradictions. Like we're a mixed bag of being able to do incredibly good and kind things and also incredibly selfish and toxic and hurtful things to other people, sometimes in the same day or the same moment, right?
So true.
So there is like this lostness of like, we just have this failure of being of who like we were supposed to be in all moments. And so that's one thing is like,
That's good.
yeah, we need some rescue from our failure of being and what it means to be human. And then I think the other thing too is like where we find our worth. Like a lot of us are lost in that.
Yeah.
And even if you get found, you can get lost again. You find your worth in, your kids, your work,
Yep, your title.
reputation, your title, all this stuff. One of my biggest problems, like when I left the Hawks, like I chose to leave. It had become like a pretty toxic environment. And I was like really wrestling. I took a leave of absence and I was really wrestling with what to do with it. And I ended up going to this place called Onsite in Tennessee. Where it's just like, it was funny, the therapist or guide, the first day she was like, all right, this is soul surgery with no anesthesia.
Oh,
like, oh gosh. And it's funny because I didn't know what she meant after. I was like, oh, I know what you mean. But for me, I had this massive breakthrough, and it was because I realized that because I'm a meaning of life person, I had tied my meaning of life to specifically working in the NBA.
Wow.
And I didn't know if my life would mean anything if I didn't do that anymore.
Wow.
And I didn't have the capacity to excavate that.
Yeah.
I needed a very talented therapist to help me get to the bottom of that. And once that was unearthed, I was able to realize and believe like, oh, my meaning or my worth is not tied to this. Intellectually, I would have told you that, but the way that my heart was operating, it wasn't operating like that. So that was a huge shift for me. So I think like that can be a lostness, is like, if you're, and this is my opinion, this is what I believe, but if you are finding your worth or identity in something other than God and his love for you, you're going to experience some sort of lostness. Like those other things are just not going to be enough.
Wow.
Like they're, at the end of the day, like it'll just be a tyrant like that you can never do enough for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like really athletic, like can do all the things. And one of the things I said is like, the problem is like, there's always going to be someone better.
Yeah.
Always going to be someone faster than you. There's always going to be someone who can shoot a basketball better than you. And then even if you are the best in the world at that moment of that thing, next year someone's going to be better than you. So if you tie your worth to any of those things, those are all transient and none of those things last.
Golly. So then what advice do you give to players that don't believe in God, that may find their worth in their performance? What do you say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly, the players never asked me that question.
Okay.
But I think what I try to do is dive deeper down into their humanity outside of into something more existential than just like the stats that they put up in a game.
Yeah. It's outside
and
of
then that's the thing, is like I try to reflect that love to people too. Like, hey, I love you whether you come back from this injury or not, whether you score 30 points or you go 0 for 10 tonight. Right. Because I think that's a shadow of a greater love that I'm just trying to live in and try to, give to other people.
That's really cool you went to Onsite. You're probably our second guest that's been to Onsite too. Maybe I need to go.
No, it's a powerful place.
Let's all go.
It's a powerful place. And you'll do a lot of deep emotional work.
I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
I heard that they just do incredible things.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as we close, I have one last question to ask you. And what time is it?
2:20.
Okay. I'll ask this real quick. Okay, so I'm a small group leader of 6th grade girls. And now they're at 7th grade. And they did this thing this last Sunday, and I thought it was really fun. So I was like, I want to do this with Scottie.
Oh, nice.
So they gave us a picture, and it was a picture of a glacier, which I've seen before. And it's like the iceberg and then the glacier underneath. And it's like, oh, there's a lot more underneath from the iceberg being on top. And the question was, if you really knew me, you would know, fill in the blank. And it's what's underneath that no one sees. How would you answer that question? If you really knew me, you would know.
If you really knew me, you would know that I believe that I am radically loved by God, no matter what I've done, whatever has been done to me, and that I want to be a part of his story about bringing goodness and restoration of all things. And that informs everything I do. Like that informs the way I work with athletes, with, quote unquote normal clients. That is my paradigm for how I operate in the world. And so at the surface, people might be like, oh, like he's a nice guy or he's that. It's like, but that's the driving force underneath the way that I try to act and live and be in the world.
That's so cool. Thank you, Scottie, for hanging out. This was
absolutely.
fun.
Well, thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Will you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram at Scottie Goodness.
Yep. We'll put it in the show notes too.
Yep. So that's probably the best way to stay
Okay.
in touch with me. And then I'll throw out a link when my book comes out. I can have everyone
Listen,
pre-order it.
we will. We will put it in the show notes. When does it come out? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It's still
It's
a work in progress. It's in process
I love
right
it,
now.
though. I love that you
but-
declared it and you're doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's awesome. The world
Yeah.
needs to hear more of what you have to say. Seriously.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Boom.
Kill.
Come on. How do you feel?
I feel good. How do you feel?
I feel great.
Okay, great.